Welcome to NEK VT Rocks. My guest today is Antonin Herbert, who is running a company and a million other things apparently called Twisted Graphix.
Tweaked Graphix.
I'm sorry?
Tweaked Graphix.
Tweaked Graphix. Oh, got it wrong. Sorry, I screwed that one up. But well, it's a fabulous logo and great colors. So you have opened a business during the time of COVID when everybody else is hiding under a rock.
Yep.
And yet you're there and apparently you're doing fine.
We are.
What
So
got
far.
you to do this?
Opening the store was an impulse, so it was not really planned, but the way I look at it is if I can make something of it during these times, then once things get back on their feet and everybody can get out again, then I'll be doing even better.
So your business is complicated. As I'm talking, we were talking a few minutes before this started. You appear to have 6 different businesses sort of rolled into one. But for those of us on the street, you and your partner, Alma, are running a thrift store on
Yes.
Nelson Hill.
Yes.
What got you into that part of it?
I never planned to do a thrift store, but it was already an established business, so it just made sense to continue the thrift store. And it was originally a thrift store in bottle redemption, which we still
Right.
do that also. But I needed the space to expand my decal and apparel business, and it just made sense to jump in. And
When was it a bottle redemption place?
it's always been a bottle
Has it?
redemption.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I've lived here for 12 years and didn't know that.
Yep. Most people still don't know.
Are you still doing bottle redemption?
Yes, we do. I don't advertise it a lot right now. We're a little overwhelmed with our inventory, so we don't have a lot of space, but
Is
we
that
do still
through
take
the
it.
same entrance
Yes.
as the thrift store?
Yes, we do our redemption out back, but
Okay.
still bring people through the front.
That's fascinating because normally when you walk into a redemption store, there's that sweet sticky smell. Not your business.
No, we're trying to keep it clean.
It's amazing. So you do the graphics part where you're taking on referrals for people who want t-shirts, sweatshirts,
Yep.
business logos.
So I do vehicle wraps, full body wraps. I do decals for businesses, make custom shirts, whether somebody just wants a single shirt that they like the idea of, or do large orders for businesses. That's just something I've always dabbled in, and making something larger of it.
So if Todd wanted to gussy up his car and either put his music business or NEK-TV on it, you could do a wrap on the
Yep.
car?
I can do a full single color wrap to change the color of the vehicle just out of vinyl, or I can do something custom and put logos and pretty much anything that you can think of on them.
Would that hide the rust on my car?
It does. I've had a few people ask me.
What a
honestly.
great idea!
Yep, because vinyl doesn't rust. So,
Yeah. That's really cool. And put it underneath too, and that would stop the salt and other crud.
yeah.
Okay, so that's one piece of your business, and then there's the thrift store.
Yep.
So all of us can bring lightly used or moderately used items in. Do you just do clothing, or are there other items too?
We have clothing, we have toys, we have household goods, furniture, pretty much anything that anybody brings in, that they don't want, we'll find a place for it.
You have a pretty big space there.
Yep,
So
it is.
it looks as though that store part could expand and expand.
Yeah, we've got it organized, but we have a lot of extra stuff out back that we don't have places for yet. So we're constantly trying to move things around and find better organization. And come spring, I do plan to expand a little further throughout the store, because there's parts of the building that aren't being used at the moment.
Yeah. How much floor space do you have?
4,400 square feet.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have a car restoration business?
It's not so much a business, it's something I've always done myself. I've always just had a passion for modifying vehicles, so I've always tried to do car shows and just make them unique, whether I lift them, lower them, build big stereo systems, change the paint. I don't like stock vehicles. I like it to be my own.
So somebody has an old vehicle that is in really crappy shape,
Mm-hmm.
and you take that on and turn it back into something that's showroom quality?
I try to.
Or close.
I do dabble a bit with other people's vehicles, but
Mhm.
I have so much going on everywhere else. I don't try to take on large projects. I have
Yeah.
plenty of my own that are still waiting to be finished.
How many cars do you have?
I currently own 19, and I own 26 four-wheelers and dirt bikes, so
Wow.
we're busy.
So you do it all.
Yes,
You have ski-doos too?
yep. Yeah, actually I've got a couple that I just brought into the shop yesterday, and we
Mhm.
started cleaning up some snowmobiles just to play around on.
And if we ever get any snow, you could use them.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, my snowmobiles see more use during the summer.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what other businesses do you, oh, you said you were a contractor too.
Yes, I own a company, Above and Beyond Builders. I do everything from new construction to remodels, additions, a lot of off-grid cabins.
Uh-huh.
Drywall, painting, finish work. I love doing it all.
And you're doing that up here?
Yes. Yeah, I do everything from local Derby area to Burlington. I have quite a lot of work in Burlington area.
Burlington's a long way.
It is a little over 2-hour drive,
Right.
but it's worth it in the end.
Huh. How have you managed to, should we say, split yourself into so many different pieces? Because as far as I can see, you're just one person. I don't think you're a triplet.
No, I wish I knew. A little bit of sleep and a whole lot of running.
Do you employ other people?
I do. Yes, I have some people I use with doing construction, and currently it's just Elma and I at the shop.
Mhm.
So.
The other day I stopped into the shop, Alma was there, and you were in Burlington,
Yes.
I think. Because it was really hard trying to figure out a time when we could do this, because your feet aren't on the ground very often.
No, I have contracts for drywall and framing houses in Burlington.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of trying to schedule both at the same time and make it so they don't, conflict too much.
Yeah, are you ever home?
At night, enough to sleep.
Between 10 and 2?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, get home, have supper, and relax for a few minutes, and then get up in the morning and start over.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
And you have kids who are following along.
yes. My son has been by my side for 7 years doing construction with me, and he's learned quite a bit about the decal and apparel also. He loves it.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's a wonderful sort of role model for a kid growing up to see parents who can diversify in the way that you're doing. And clearly, you're not afraid to take a jump into space.
No, I mean, there's always that fear that I'm going to fail,
Uh-huh.
but you can learn off failure too. So
Right.
I just learned what not to do next time. And over the years, I've done everything from DJing, had a car stereo shop for a little while. Just always had the construction because it's a great trade and there's always something to do.
Mhm.
And the decal, it was always something that I had there, but I didn't want to push it because I didn't have anybody to help me. So it was when I had time, I'd make some stuff, but now it's become I have to make it.
Mhm.
But it's a lot, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I'd rather be too busy instead of sitting around.
Right. Yeah, and the decal stuff is pretty creative, so you have to have some knowledge of graphics in a...
Yep. I jumped in kind of blind. I mean, I've always kind of played around with computers and designing things when I was
Yeah.
younger. Took CAD in high school and just never went anywhere with it. But with the decals, it was just learning over. Like I pretty much started with no knowledge, taught myself between YouTube and just trial and error.
You grew up here, right?
Yes.
So you went through high school, North
At
Country?
North Country, yes. Yep. And my main focus in high school, I did welding, I did construction. I tried to do as many of the career center classes as possible. I just wanted to have the knowledge to do things myself.
Yeah.
I never never really had a whole lot of money, so if there was things I wanted, I would buy something broken and build it to what I wanted.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting. A lot of kids don't seem to know a whole lot about the career center programs that they can take at the same time as they're in high school.
yeah, I know it's a lot different now than it was when I was there. When I went, I could fill most of my class spaces with career center classes, so I took advantage of that.
Yeah. It's sort of strange to me that that's not as well known for the kids who are there now, because those classes clearly are really useful.
Very much so. I learned a lot and took that knowledge and went with it.
And did you start a business as soon as you finished school?
Actually, when I
Or
started
before.
doing car stereo shop, my car stereo shop was while I was in high school.
Huh.
And I did that, and I was also a DJ for years, and kind of moved away from that because the demand wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I always did construction. My father, growing up, has been a contractor, so I was always watching it happen and wanted to be part of it. Never quite thought I would be where I'm at now with it, but I'm always pushing to do better. And
So your dad has a company up here too?
yes, he owns Hubby On Call.
Oh.
So he's been, I'm not even sure how many years he's been doing that for
Yeah.
a very long time.
Yeah.
And he's
You
actually
didn't
now
guess-
retired, so he's I'd say slowed down, but probably not.
Probably not, just does it differently.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what's retirement anyway? It doesn't mean being a vegetable,
Yep.
I hope.
I'll never retire.
probably
I can't sit.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? I'm not going to say 5 years, because you're
Yeah.
probably doing something totally different then.
I don't really know. Pretty much the extent of my goals is just to keep growing what I have now and see what I can do with it. I'd like to eventually start playing with more exotic supercars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people who are interested in the thrift store, and let's face it, we're all a practical group up here. Most of us do our shopping at thrift stores. So people can bring their stuff into you. Are you open every day of the week?
We are open Monday through Saturday. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 2. And a lot of the way I laid the store out, I got my inspiration from Plato's Closet, actually.
Uh-huh.
Just their layout was clean, and you could tell where everything was, and so that's kind of where I got my inspiration.
So if I, for example, have a bunch of household goods, I can just bring those in, drop them off.
Yeah, we test everything that comes in and make sure the clothing is clean, and any appliances that come in, we test them, make sure they work, and we try to price not, we don't have high prices. We have everything affordable,
Sure.
and we help people out whenever we can.
Do you have kids' clothing?
We do. We have everything from infant.
That's such a
all the way.
need. Well, it's a need everywhere, but it certainly is up here. And not every thrift store is willing to take on kids' clothing.
Yeah. Actually, when I had took over, there was no kids' clothing, so that's been something we've been expanding and
Yeah.
trying to take on more. And a lot of people who knew about the business prior, they knew that kids' clothing wasn't to be dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that the word's out, people are finally bringing it in, and we have a small selection right now,
But it will grow.
yep, it definitely
The thing
will.
about kids is they only wear clothing for about 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then they've grown out of it.
Most of the kids' clothing is in great shape too because of
Yeah.
that.
And unless you have a bunch of kids, you can pass it down your own line.
Yep.
What do? You give it away.
Yep. And kids usually have an overabundance of clothes anyway. So.
Yeah. So your adult clothing is also expanding as people find out about you.
Yes. Yeah, we've definitely run out of space to put more in at the moment, but come spring, I'd like to expand everything. And our furniture section, we advertise online.
Uh-huh.
That section of the building is just so packed. We try to keep people out of it. It's just kind of not safe for the public. So, but we have tables, desks, couches, chairs, lamps, pretty much anything you would need in a house.
So if people want furniture, they should ask you for what they want
Yep.
rather than trying to excavate.
Yeah, we actually don't really advertise other than Facebook,
Yeah.
and so people will find what they want on Facebook, message us, and we'll pull it out for them. So it's gone pretty good so far.
So if I want, say, a couch, a purple couch for whatever reason, I would contact you either by walking into the store or going to your Facebook page and
Yes.
saying, hey guys, I'm looking for X.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that come in looking for specific items, and we'll take their name down, and as soon as it comes in, we'll contact them.
Yeah.
Beds, a lot of people want specific cribs or high
Sure.
chairs, and
You can either, you already have it or you can get it.
yes, yeah, we do our best to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. It's sort of amazing because, say, I came into your store the other day and there's only a small part of it that's really active right now. And then you have all of these layers behind the scenes.
Yeah, the building goes in every direction.
Yeah. Are you going to put one of your big signs outside? You have one near the door, but that's hard to see from the road.
Yeah, we have one sign that's just on the side of the road right now, and I had purchased a large printer that I can do banners, and that I'm going to put a banner in front of the building. Just as far as advertising, we're limited to what we're allowed to do, so I can't have any permanent signs larger than what I have at the moment.
Why can't you have a permanent sign?
I have a single sign
Yeah.
on the side of the road, but that's the extent of what I can have right now.
Because of zoning and
Yep.
other
Yeah,
regulations.
yeah, everybody wants their cut.
I guess if you have a big sign, a big flashing sign, you'll be inundated anyway.
Well, my plan is to wrap a couple of my vehicles and put the store logo on them, and then park them out front, and it's just a rolling billboard.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
And nobody can get you for that one.
Nope.
My suggestion is use the Ferrari.
That is actually my plan. Is
Oh, really?
I'm gonna wrap the Ferrari. Gonna make just a real flashy wrap for the whole
Yeah.
thing, and put the logo on it. I mean, just the car itself is going to bring people in because they're going to want to see it.
Yeah, I have to say you're the only person I know on the planet who owns a Ferrari.
It's yeah, it was kind of surreal when I got it.
How old is it?
It's a 1996.
It's new.
Fairly. When I got it, it had changed hands for years, for about 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And everybody tore things off or tried to modify things. And when I got it, I didn't get all the pieces to it. So I spent the last 2 years building it to what I want,
Mhm.
and just a lot of pieces I couldn't get my hands on, or they
Sure.
were way more than I wanted to pay. So it's just, in the end, it's not really going to be a Ferrari.
So what
Just-
color is it going to be?
The wrap that I'm going to do is orange camo.
Wow.
So it's going to be bright, flashy, and have the Tweak Graphix logo down the side.
So when people see a Ferrari driven around town, they'll know it's you.
Yep. Yep. For more reasons than one.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
And that's the sort of fantasy car for so many people because it's astronomically priced. And
Yeah. I essentially got my Ferrari for $500. It was a car that I had got years ago. I kind of kept trading up and ended up with this Ferrari in the end. It's
I drive a Pontiac Vibe. Do you think I can trade it up for a Ferrari next?
honestly, I started with a 2000 Buick Century. That was the first car that I started trading in and ended up with this Ferrari.
Wow.
And that was just, I was owed $500 left on a job, and they offered
Yeah.
me the car as payment. And I figured, I could make a couple extra dollars on the car.
Sure.
And I never had a plan to trade it up to a Ferrari or anything. It was just see what I could get.
Sure.
And after a couple of deals, I ended up with this car. And when the person that I got it from, when he was contacting me wanting to trade, I didn't think it was real. It was in Tilton, New Hampshire, and it just seemed too good to be true. And we went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and he kept telling me, we'll meet this day, we'll meet that day, and he kept changing his mind. And I finally gave up, just figured it wasn't a real car. And he gave me a day and said he'll definitely be there, and I told him, well, I'm making the trip regardless. And 4.5 hours down there, and come to find out there was a Ferrari in the garage, but it was not in the condition he said it was in. Half of the body was off the chassis, and lights were missing, door handles, glass. There was a lot of missing parts, but I figured at the end of the day it's still a Ferrari, so I'll take it.
So you took it in pieces, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And we actually couldn't get it to start when I went to look at it either, which concerned me, but at the same time, I was already taking a Ferrari, so that's just one minor detail.
How many years did it take you to get it roadworthy?
Actually, I had got the car, and within about 2 weeks, I had it put together enough where we took it for a drive. My son and I went down the road a little bit, and I haven't registered it yet. It's very, very expensive to register it, but in the end, it's been 2 years building, and I'm doing an engine swap, which I hope to have done by spring and have it sitting out front of the store.
Do show cars have to be registered?
No, you can trailer them.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But this car I'm going to register because I'm going to want to drive it.
And then it can go for a drive around Newport and Derby.
Yep. Take it to Burlington.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That certainly is not going to be a car that gets pulled over very often unless they think you stole it.
Actually, I'm kind of expecting to be pulled over a lot for it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a vehicle you see
No.
often, and it's just one of the vehicles you think if they have it, they're going to do something that, they're going to get in trouble
I
for.
expect you'll be followed, not pulled over.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely might like to make an appearance, though.
Yeah, you're certainly not going to be the shy retiring type in that car.
No.
Certainly not when you make it into a flash colour, too.
Yep. And I've always told my son since day one when we got the car and started working on it that it would be his car one day, and I'm going to hold to it. Hopefully he's smart about it.
So you're going to have your 9-year-old driving a Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, when he turns 16.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. He's, I got a few trucks that he's driven around my yard a little bit, and he's quite cautious. He does a lot of four-wheelers that he owns, so we've got a racetrack that he's been practicing on, and he'd like to race on the circuit. So, yeah, he's...
So if you trade that
mini-me.
car up, what are you going to trade that for?
I'm not going to trade that one. I'm going to buy another one.
So you'll be a 2 Ferrari family.
No, I'm actually looking at either a Lamborghini Gallardo or an Acura NSX. I'd like to get something else just to add to the fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly going to make a difference to the area.
Yep. Yeah, this car is one that I will never get rid of. Just, it's my first supercar, and from where it started to where it is now, there's not another one like it.
It's a massive amount of work, though.
Yes, very much so.
But you've certainly more than doubled your money into that.
Yeah, the value
I'm not
is,
sure about your time that you've put into it, but
yeah. Well, my car is worth more than my business, so.
that's actually an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's probably true.
Yeah, I've had some of my family kind of pick on me a bit that my car is worth more than my house. So, but I own the car. I don't own the house
That's
yet.
exactly right. Yeah. When we were chatting before we started, you told me this fascinating story of how you actually got this business, the thrift store, Graphix store. Tell everybody again how it was that you decided to open this store.
So I had thought about purchasing the building at the end of this year, and I wasn't quite ready to dive into it yet. In October, I walked into the store just to visit, and like I did every couple of months. And as soon as I walked through the door, before I got to say hi, I was told, "Oh, you're buying the business." And I kind of stepped back and I'm like, "Well, hi, how's it going?" And then I was given a price on the building and the business, all the inventory, and I couldn't say no. And 4 days later, I'd signed the papers to take over. And the whole time it was just kind of too good to be true. And by the time we finally got in there, we just dove in, spent 2 weeks completely remodeling the interior and turned it into what it is now. And it's been a huge task, a lot of late nights and early mornings, but
Right.
I don't regret it. Definitely been stressful, but
Yeah, no time to think it through, no time to prepare, just a leap of faith.
yeah, it was just, I run on impulse pretty much. I have my long-term goals, but some of my best decisions were just made right there on the spot.
Though I'm sure you must have had other, quote, opportunities that you said, that's not the right one for me.
Yeah, along
But
the
you
way.
don't just jump blind.
Yeah, I've definitely had many other opportunities that I've turned down, but because of what the business offered and what the building offered for my personal use and for my other businesses, it was definitely something I couldn't say no to.
Yeah.
So
It's great, and it seems to be turning out that the timing is perfect.
yeah,
That it's letting you do the work you need to do ahead of time, because it's slower right now than it would be normally if we were all out and about.
yeah. Honestly, it's picked up quite a bit. Alma has done a lot of advertising on Facebook, which has
Yeah.
brought so many people in.
Yeah, she has.
And you know, we have some slow days, but then we have days that it's just back to back, and it's
Presumably the slow days in the store, you can do a ton of other stuff around there.
yeah, she does a lot of relocating, trying to reorganize, and we have a lot of back stock that she's constantly going through and just figuring out what's good, what's not, and
even the time it takes to print your shirts, that's time. It's a lot of time, actually, because you have to be there while it's doing it, doing its thing.
The designing the shirts is what takes the longest. The beauty of the machines that I have, I just hit go on the computer and walk away until it's ready, and it's definitely paid for itself.
So we can expect to see a Ferrari on the front of your shirt for the thrift store part?
Yeah. Yeah,
I bet that would sell really well. I'm serious, it would sell well.
I actually have made some Ferrari shirts actually right after I got the car, it was just kind of got to do it, you know. Had
Yeah.
all the equipment and played around in the shop for a little bit.
Sure.
Made my own shirts modeling the car, and ever since we had the opportunity to take the building,
Yeah.
I've just had it in my mind that that car is going to sit out front, and that's going to help get the business to where I want it to be.
Yeah. That's great. We need to be wrapping up because we're already out of time. As I said, it goes really fast. So when people have items they would like to rehome, they can bring them to you
Yes.
weekdays and Saturday morning. And it sounds as though for anybody who's looking for items, clothing, furniture,
Yep.
or printing,
Yep. Household goods.
household goods, you
pots and
name it, you've got
pans,
it.
Yep. Blankets. We try to have everything on hand.
And in the spring, they'll know you by the fancy cars outside, but
Yes.
meanwhile, they just turn onto Nelson Hill, and there you are on the left.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
I hope that you continue to thrive, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the fancy cars outside.
We have a couple that we use as daily drivers, so my vehicles stand out.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.